Hello and welcome to my channel. Today, I'll be sharing 8 things I wish I knew before writing my novel. As an author, I've learned a lot throughout the writing process, especially with my debut novel, Ember in the Mist. I hope by sharing these insights, you'll be able to avoid some of the mistakes I've made. So, without further ado, let's get to it. Hello everyone, and if this is your first time on my channel, welcome. My name is Brendalyn Mantianor. I'm a Canadian author of children's books as well as the Christian fantasy novel called Ember in the Mist. As authors, we make mistakes here and there, and I'm hoping to share the 8 things I wish I knew before I wrote Ember in the Mist so that you can have a chance of avoiding those mistakes and having a smooth transition in your writing. Number 1. Don't forget that your work isn't done once you write the end. You have so much more to do. You've written your draft. Congratulations. Step back so that you can look back at it with fresh eyes. My advice for you would be to take a break. It could be a month. It can be a few weeks, but don't stay away from it too long because that's when the process will continue to take longer. You will miss some things that you didn't see while you were in your story. This way you can clear up some holes that you missed or words that you need to change or tweak while you're doing your self-editing, and it'll be very beneficial for you before you start working with a professional editor. So it's important for you to remember that yes, you wrote the end, your story might be done for now, but your work has just begun. Which leads to number 2. Make sure to do your self-edits. Making sure to do self-edits is such a crucial part of the writing process. And it helps you make sure that before you send off your manuscript, you made sure that your story doesn't have errors or inconsistencies. So this is a crucial step for yourself. You have to make sure that your story is well taken care of before you send it off to a professional. A tip to help you with your self-edits, I would say, is to listen to your story while you edit. As I'm reading, I'm gonna be very attentive to the words that are misplaced or things that aren't quite making sense. And so one tip that I would use is to listen to your manuscript while you read it. Another tip I would also say is getting feedback. I have sisters who helped me a lot with my story, and I would hear feedback from them that I can consider before sending it off to a professional. So that's also something that you can do to help you out. Don't put pressure on yourself that you have to do all the corrections at once. You'll just overwhelm yourself. And you want your writing process to be fun, you want it to be productive, and you want it to be engaging and insightful. And the best way to do that is to take your time by breaking it in little pieces so that once you've done your self-edit, you have confidence before sending it off to a professional editor. Now, I don't know what type of writer you are, maybe a prancer or a planner, maybe you're a little bit of both, but before you even start writing at all, I would advise you to have an outline. So number 3 is consider having an outline for your story. Now, you're welcome to write out your outline in detail if you wish, or you can put the major parts in your story from beginning, middle, and end. But I would advise you to consider having an outline for your story because it will make the process way more smoother and you won't have to overthink what comes next because you've planned that ahead of time. As I'm writing my second book, Ripples of the Past, I'm finding that it is way more smoother for me to write because when I was writing Ember in the Mist, yes, I did have some sort of outline, but as I got to the middle of my story, that's when I found it really hard to get out my ideas and be more creative. As I'm writing my story, the chapters are flowing here and there, and I'm making sure to have the elements I've already planned before, make sure that the plot is flowing, make sure that I'm not jumping from one scene to the other and they're not having any correlation. And having an outline has been helping me a lot. There are other resources out there that authors have created to help you out, and these are two that can help you out over here. This one that is the notebook for planning my novel or your novel by Bethany Atazada, and it has some things in here that can help you out, like your character profiles when you're doing your word sprints to help you while you're writing. That can be very helpful too. And there are a couple of other things too that you'd like to check out. And this one is by Mandilin, and this is the My Novel Outline Planner. And this is supposed to help you plan out your story. It helps you with some questions like personality questions about your characters. What do they want? What do they need? What are their flaws? There are also character profiles like Bethany Atazada had. Just having it hands-on too and writing out your ideas could be very helpful. If you are looking to get these, you can search them up, but to help you out, I'll link them below so that you can get your copy. This fourth one is going to be a little bit unexpected for you, and it is to take a break. It's important. You have so many things going on with your story. There are things to consider before you write, while you write, and after you write, and you are constantly thinking. It becomes very frustrating when you reach a writer's block, or you're just so overwhelmed with a chapter or a specific ending. But it's important for you to take a step back from your writing. We are human, and we need to renew our minds, come and look at our work again with fresh eyes. And the best way is to step back a little bit so that we can be the best authors we can be. Pressuring ourselves and stressing ourselves out is not the answer. Just pause for a moment before you go and move along again to write your story. Now, two things I've personally done to really renew my mind again is prayer. I do a lot of prayers for my book. I am a Christian fantasy writer, and my book does dwell with a lot of faith themes, truth, and hope. But it's important for me to also be true when I'm writing. To do so, I feel that it's important for me to connect back to the source, encourage myself through the Word of God to make sure that I am not just doing this to please others. I want to write this story because that's what I was called to do. I've always loved writing stories. The choice of writing Christian fantasy books for youth is so inspiring and so fulfilling that I want to make sure that I am able to come and look at my work with fresh eyes, a positive attitude, and regardless of what obstacles come my way, I want to be able to be flexible and also recognize that, this might be a little bit too much for me right now, and I will take a break. Find what is important for you and do that. Number 2 is taking a step back and, going for walks. I did that a lot in the summer. I really need to because, that just centered me and not have to think about my story, not have to fixate on a specific plot or scene, and just be present. Oh, I would say also a third thing that I've done that's been very helpful for me is reading books. I am so inspired when I read books. It's not even a joke. It's so inspiring for me as well. When I'm writing my stories, I'm like, I need to work on that. Or I would love to add that part in my story. And, I find inspirations from other authors as well when I read. It takes me somewhere else, to their world, through their story. Instead of 2, I'll say 3. Those are the 3 things that I do to make sure that I am taking a break. Please give yourself some grace. Take a break and take your time for yourself. To help you continue writing, but also consider the balance of breaks and proceeding with your story, it's important to schedule your writing. Make sure that you are writing to be productive and not writing because you are forced to. There are moments where you're going to have to push yourself when it comes to writing, but you don't want to write for writing's sake. You want to write purposefully. So number 5 will be to schedule some writing time. I think my mistake when it comes to writing was that I was writing when I felt like it sometimes. With Camp NaNoWriMo, as excited as I am, setting my goal, I find that it kind of did the opposite while I was writing because I was so fixated on getting the set goals that I set that I was going to write, getting the badges, and I get so wrapped into it that when I have a busy day or I have a busy week and it derails my progress and I don't get the badges I want, in my mind, I'm like, what's the point of continue with Captain NaNoWriMo if I can't do it consistently? I've learned with book 2 that I don't have to write all the time. I have to schedule when I write. I did that a lot. I scheduled time with a writing sprint. That was very fun. I did 7. I committed to it and I did 7. And it was every Wednesday. I was accountable for it because I had to show up online, and it was once a week. And even if I didn't write any other time but Wednesday, at least I wrote. You could probably do writing sprints, and there are so many available on YouTube that you can find. And I have one myself that I will link below so that you can go check it out. I would advise you to do writing sprints. Writing sprints are the go-to. Writing is important, but it isn't everything. You know what needs to be moved, changed, what is fixed, what is flexible. So setting a writing time for you is going to be super, super helpful in the long run. Your story is going to change. Your schedule is going to change. You are going to change throughout the process. It's best to already know that, expect it, and know how to react when things are different than what you expected. At the end of the day, you have bigger goals than fixating or being frustrated that something changed. A lot of things change and they're for the best, but it's important for you to already anticipate the change to happen and practice some flexibility. I try my best not to print a lot of things that have schedules on it. I usually print trackers or checklists because I can just check them once they're done. When I print something out and it has a schedule, I feel like I have to do it. But if I'm the one filling the time and I can erase it when I want to, yeah, it helps me a lot. And I've learned that, flexibility is a skill to understand. Some things have to be done, like you have to write your story. If you don't write anything, you're not having a story. But in the same time, as you write your story, you will notice some things are different in your writing. You may have to take longer to focus on edits before they go to proofreading. You might have to rethink your book launch, and that's okay. I've learned that it's important for me to be able to vocalize when I am frustrated instead of keeping it in and deceiving myself that, yep, everything's fine, everything's okay. The most important part I would say is once that is out of your system, what are you going to do now? Are you going to sit there and sulk? Are you going to give up? No, you're not. You're going to keep moving. You're going to say, what can I do with this change and how can I make it better? That's the big difference in being a good writer. Things are going to happen in your life, things that you didn't expect that you cannot control. But what are you going to do with your actions? Number 7, include your best ideas right now. Because I'm writing a series called The Pure Gems of Bizarria, I'm going to have multiple books, 5 to be exact. So I am doing my best now, especially with book 2, to put all the best parts that need to be there. That's it. I did the same with book 1, of course, but I think I had more of a suspenseful, mysterious approach when it came to book 1 that I am covering in book 2. I'm like, I'm giving you answers. I'm giving you more answers than I did in book 1. And you may have some wonders at the end of book 2, but at least a lot has been answered to you. I think that's part of growth. I think that is something that I will continue to do, is put all the best parts in now, because you want to give your readers your best. You're doing yourself a huge favor by not holding back on the best parts of your story. And number 8 is be the biggest fan of your story. Hey, do you want to hear my book's idea? What? Anyway, my story is so great because yeah, you get the gist. That is such a wonderful thing. Keep that energy up. Be passionate about your story, because if you don't care about your story, why are you expecting readers to care about it? You want to make sure that you have that initial spark, because if you are able to write a story that is worth reading, you are going to find an audience. There's going to be an audience for your story, and you don't have to worry about, I'm writing this book so that readers will read it, and I'll have a following and people are going to enjoy it, and I'll be the next J.K. Rowling and all these things. You don't have to worry about that. You're writing a book because you love writing, because you like books, because you saw something lacking. You're like, I'm going to write that. And that is what you have to keep on holding on to be your drive when it comes to writing your stories. Those are all my 8 tips. I am open to growth all the time, and I am looking forward to learning even more and improving. I really love it. I really love writing. It's so fun. It's been crazy and so amusing at the same time. It's just a fun thing for me. I hope that these were helpful. If you think that somebody would benefit from this video, please share this video with them. Make sure to check the description below for some of the things I've mentioned in this video so that you can use it for your own writing. I would have really appreciated if you would hit the bell notification button so that you don't miss any other videos that are coming up. And if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. If you were wondering about my novel that I kept mentioning in this video, this is my novel, Ember in the Mist. This is the paperback version, but it also comes in a hardcover wrapping. And I find the best part is that it's in purple. I love it. If you are looking to purchase my novel, Ember in the Mist is the first book of the Pure Gems of Bizarria series. You can also look into the description below to get the paperback version, the ebook version, or the hardcover version. And I would appreciate your support. And if you are interested in themes like Divided Kingdoms, Ancient Legends, diverse characters, Narnia theme, portals, quests, sacred gems, 2 people told me that it reminded them of Moana, especially leaving your home to save the world, impending darkness surrounding you, and also having like the pendant. Someone else, it was a student actually, told me that it gave them Frozen 2 vibes. So if anything like that interests you, then this is the book for you. And if you know of any youth that are interested in reading this middle-aged teen book, then please share it their way. Please share it their way. That's Ember in the Mist, so one more time. And I'd really appreciate the support. And before I end this video, I am giving a shout out to 2 students that have been begging for me to give them a shout out since the beginning of the year. So here it is. This is your shout out. You and you. You know who you are. You're welcome. Thank you for watching. I'm wishing you all the best in your writing process. Make sure to avoid the mistakes that I did. God bless, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.